I just paid $13.98 for an Egg McMuffin meal, which included one Egg McMuffin. Look at that guy, RS5 flying by. Yeah, baby. One Egg McMuffin, one hash browns, and one large coffee. Can you say price gouging?
You updated that tagline.
Yeah,
and then
your EV journey, right?
Right. And you said, I'm going to, talk to people who I know and I don't know. And then that with the tagline, it said, oh, I got to contact them.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today we're going to be filming in Cromwell, Connecticut with a new subscriber, actually. His name is Mark. He reached out and he wants to tell me all about his EV journey. So I'm going to be taking a ride up there. I just was checking out this pretty cool Sprinter van. Kyle, I think this thing looks pretty jacked and sweet. And then you look at this vehicle over here. I mean, look at this thing here. This is something else here. I don't know what the story is there, but wow. If I'm starting off my day with these two vehicles, can you only imagine how it's going to be? Well, let's get into it and welcome to another Out of Spec Dave video. EV charging coming soon. Any guesses as to what these are? I really want to rip these covers off, but I probably shouldn't do that. The day of interesting things is just getting bigger and bigger because I haven't even made it to Mark's house yet. And here's the natural growing medium. What is going on over there?
Now turn left onto New Lane.
All right, I'll turn left in a minute. Take it easy. Look at the size of this greenhouse. Wow. Mark, I just want to thank you for inviting me up and tell me, how did I get here today? What happened here?
Well, I've been watching Kyle's videos for years and, always enjoyed that. And then, saw you started your channel. And then when you had your video with your friend Rob there, and I noticed your tagline, had you updated that tagline.
Yeah,
and then
your EV journey, right?
Right. And you said, I'm going to, talk to people who I know and I don't know. And then that with the tagline, it said, oh, I got to contact them. You know what I mean? It was perfect to me, like, because different people's EV journeys are different. And I think mine's a little different than a lot of people. And so I said, hey, let me contact them. And
right. Yeah, no, and actually you reached out, you sent me a long email and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Wow, this guy seems into it. I said, we gotta, but what do we have here in the driveway? Just quickly, I want to just tell me a little bit about these cars we got here.
Yep, so before I had these three cars, I started off with a Leaf and it was strictly just a financial thing. It was a good deal and that's how I got into it.
Okay.
And then, from there, liked the electrification, but was a little bit worried. And obviously the Leaf's range is so small, I needed something longer. So went to a plug-in hybrid. Basically, again, it was a financial thing. They come up with some incredible leases for these things. So I went into the lease for this.
And this is a Honda Clarity.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that one, and
Honda
we'll
Clarity.
talk about that one when we go for a ride.
All right.
And then what is this? This one here is.
Yep.
Now that is not an Ioniq 5.
Nope, that's the old
That's
Ioniq.
just the old Ioniq, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And Ioniq Electric, and they had three different, Ioniqs. They had the one that's just like the Prius, just a regular hybrid. They had a plug-in hybrid, and this is the electric one. So, and this again, I still had the Leaf at the time, and all of a sudden I saw $79 a month leases for these things. The 2020 was coming in with longer range, so they were getting rid of these basically.
Okay.
So drove all over the place. It was a crazy frenzy, people trying to get them for that.
Yeah.
So I didn't get that deal. I wound up with a limited.
Yeah, I want to hear that story when
version.
we go for the ride. That'll be very cool.
Yep.
Now, I just out of curiosity, the Ioniq Electric, were they sold in all 52 states?
I don't think so.
52 states. What am I saying? 50. I got the hint of things to come, perhaps.
Was
I don't
there
know.
an expansion?
I don't know. I didn't. That was just a slip of the tongue. I have no idea what that is. I know nothing. Okay. But is it were these limited, the electrics, to certain states?
Yeah, I think it was just that group of states that were in the consortium with, with California.
Got it.
I think it was about 13 of those states.
Got it.
That are in
Okay.
there, yeah.
And then over here.
Yep. And then so we had those. We had a SUV, a gas SUV. Just last year, it got totaled in an accident. So I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to get now? And I was a little worried about another electric. But actually, my daughter has a job where she could charge at her job, and it's like a 75-mile round trip.
Okay.
And so she could charge there. So I said, okay,
yeah,
we'll get this. And this was just when the prices were starting to go a little nutty.
Yeah.
For users, that was a shock in the used car market at the time.
Right. Oh,
But,
I want to hear about the battery situation in this car,
Yes.
and the journey you had with that one. But
Okay.
but the range on this car, if I'm not mistaken, was it 238 or something
Yep.
that EPA published?
239, I think. Yeah.
239, something like that.
Yeah.
So very good range, but man, does this thing charges like a turtle.
Yeah.
I mean, 55 kilowatts, which is fine if you're not going on road trips, right?
Yeah.
If you're daily driving it, it's perfect, and it really serves the fleet. All right, well, this is great, Mark. It's great to meet you. Why don't we jump in? Which car should we jump in? What do you think?
Well, I think people know the Bolt a lot. I think maybe the Clarity is the most interesting one. So let's go do that.
So let's go for a ride in the Clarity and get to know Mark and his journey a little bit more. I've never actually been in a Honda Clarity before.
Yes, probably the only time ever a Honda ever appears in your
If
channel.
I'm completely honest, whenever I see one, I shut my eyes.
Yeah.
I just can't help it.
I know.
I'm sorry, Mark. But tell me a little bit about. Forget about this car and forget about the other cars. But I'm curious about you, and just like, when you were growing up, and you were, bouncing around, playing ball, whatever you were doing. Were you a car guy?
I was not. No. Yeah, I mean, with us, it's just, if your car got you to place, then that's what it was for.
Right.
So I was never really a car guy. I was into sports a lot, and spent a lot of my time doing that, but I can't consider myself a car guy, no.
Right. Did you grow up around here? This is a beautiful little town, Cromwell.
I did. I grew up at one town north in Rocky Hill.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Now tell me about this greenhouse that's over here. What is that?
Yeah, it's been there for a while. It used to be a smaller, they do flowers, they raise flowers and sell flowers wholesale.
Wholesale.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Right. That makes sense.
It used to be smaller, and then they expanded quite a bit recently.
So when you first started to have an interest in, I know you mentioned this to me, about whether it was electric or if it was hybrid, it was purely economic,
right,
from a personal standpoint.
Yep.
Is that right? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think most people that get into EVs, I think, they pretty much, it's two groups, right? It's either environmentalists or people that are concerned about global warming and all that, or it's car guys or tech guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really neither of those. It was purely economic, and that's just kind of the way I am. I'm just trying to be as smart as I can with money.
Fiscally responsible,
Exactly.
frugal. Got it.
So when my oldest daughter started to drive, I was looking for something that was just reliable. So usually Toyota comes to mind. So I got her a Prius. Yeah. And that was actually like the first gen Prius, which most people don't even remember.
Yeah, I remember those.
It was a sedan. It wasn't even a. Yeah. And so then we got another one of those, and I was kind of interested in. I remember like trying to drive her car as far as I can without the engine kicking in and stuff. Yeah. So then later on, when we needed another.
So to you, it was a game to not have the engine come on.
Yeah, it was just a little thing where I'm like, hey, that screen got me in the Prius. They had that little diagram of where
I never got a Gen 1 or a Gen 2. I had a Gen 3, and the reason I got a Gen 3 was because I was in a taxi in New York City, and I saw this taxi, and he had this screen, and these arrows are going back, right? Yeah, and it was like, what is that?
Yeah. So, I always found that kind of cool. And then when we needed another car, because I have three kids, and when we needed another car, I looking around and wasn't necessarily looking for electric specifically, but I just wanted a newer car that didn't cost that much and was reliable. And I stumbled upon a Nissan Leaf up in Springfield. The dealer had it, and it was $9,700 for. This was a 2014. This was in 2017.
Right.
So it was a 3-year car. Just came off a lease. and it was $9,700. Looked brand new.
What do you think what did that cost new?
Oh God! I mean, what were those things? 30-something, right?
30-something.
Yeah.
And back then, Nissan would have still had the $7,500 tax credit, but still, that's a deal, right? I mean, you know, like, how could you go wrong with that?
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. I mean, as long as you can get over the looks. I mean,
yeah,
that's an ugly car. There's no way around it.
Was it still under warranty?
No, I think nope, because it was 3 years. I'm pretty sure Nissan's 3 years, 36,000.
Is that right?
So
Okay.
it was just out. You know what? Actually, it might have been under warranty for like a month or two after I got it.
Sometimes they have the warranty bumper to bumper on the car that expires, let's say 3 year, 36, but the battery may be a longer thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
with buying Nissan, the Leaf, like they had the battery issues, only air cooled batteries, so. Even in that period of time, it was like, okay, make sure you get one with a good battery.
Right.
And there was a whole thing with that, how to do that and all that. And so you're always a little concerned when you get a used one of those, like how good's the battery, how good's the cars or anything. So I actually found in the nav system, he never cleared out the thing. He had his home address in there. I wound up being able to contact the guy that had owned the car before me.
Right.
And he's like, no, it was a great car, nothing wrong with it. I moved to a Bolt, I needed more range. And that's a great thing when you buy a car and you can actually talk to, and he doesn't have any reason to tell me it's, you know, he didn't sell it to me, so that was like a big weight lifted off, like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And I loved that car. Actually, everybody in the family loved that car except for my middle daughter didn't like it.
Okay.
She didn't.
And that's a Chatamo car.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So were you just mostly, this was your daughter's car? So
well, yeah,
your oldest daughter's car, right?
No, actually, it was in our family. We never had as many cars as drivers. So usually, and I work from home, so that I don't need a car every day. So we usually had one less car versus the amount of drivers we had.
Got it.
And so that was just the local around town car, whoever was staying close to the house,
right?
Basically.
And then at your house, do you have a level 2 charger that you can plug your cars into?
Yeah, I think I made it about a month and a half or 2 months before I put in the level 2.
right.
And it was just convenience because we could certainly do it. It's just if you got, and everybody wanted to drive that car except for my middle daughter versus the other cars we had.
Right.
People, they just liked it. And so if you were out for a while, and because the range of those is when I got it was probably about 75 miles.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you went out for a while and then came back and you only had a level, I mean, that was kind of done for 6-7 hours before you could do anything.
Right.
So we got the level 2 put in.
Right. That's smart. That's smart.
And that changes everything, you know.
All right. So then what? So you had your Leaf.
Yeah.
And did you keep the Prius Gen 1, or did you trade that in on the Leaf?
What did we do? I think when we had the Leaf, I think we still had the Gen 2 Prius.
Oh, the Gen
1 got an accident, so we got a Gen 2 after that.
Okay, got it. Right.
Yeah. And my daughter really enjoyed that car too.
Okay.
So then again, you know, I'm not like a deal hunter, not even with cars, just with things in general.
Yeah.
So then I saw on this car, the Honda Clarity, which is plug-in hybrid, they had a lease. It was I wound up getting this, paying $221 a month for 36 months with almost nothing
Look
down.
at that Polestar 2 hitting it.
Yeah.
He saw you and he's like, all right, Clarity, I'll show you who's boss.
Yep. See you, Honda.
Yeah. Okay, we know you're cool. You don't have to do that.
I'm not sure if I've noticed those before.
The Polestar.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah. So I saw that and I said, oh, let me check this out. And so for me, and actually, you know what? I'm putting this into hybrid mode now.
Okay.
Because the way I drive this car is, around town is all electric mode.
Right.
And it gets about, I think originally it was 47 miles of electric range. Now
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's still, because this one and the Volt were really the only plug-in hybrids that ever really had significant range.
Right.
All the other ones are in the 20s somewhere.
Yeah,
something like that. So when we drive it locally, we drive it all electric, And usually whenever I get on a highway, I put it into hybrid mode.
Right.
And it'll use the gas engine. And it never really drives directly off the gas engine. The engine charges the battery, and then it still runs off the battery.
So if that's true, was this technically classified as an EV then?
Not a. This is a plug-in car.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So the electricity charges the battery, and then the battery is it the engine that is charging the battery?
Yeah.
And then the battery is powering the motors.
Exactly.
So that's just like an i3 Rex,
Yep.
right? Same type of thing.
Yep.
So I think technically, from a tax credit standpoint, although we have to say goodbye to tax credits for the most part,
Yeah.
I think that this might have been classified as an EV, or because
Yes,
a lot depends
it had the full. I think it has to do with the size of the battery too.
size of the battery,
Yeah.
but also how it patterned. But
So
I
that's
did not
how.
know that. Okay, so that's interesting.
And that's how they wound up being able to get the lease down so low, because the dealer gets that in a lease situation. They work that credit into the whole thing.
Right.
And then on top of that, Connecticut, I think at that time it was for a plug-in hybrid. I think it was $2,500. The Connecticut rebate.
Cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
The cheaper as a state rebate program.
So so that was. And then again, it's a lease though, and even with a lease, you still get the $2,500 from Connecticut. So I was getting a great deal on the lease, and on top of that, getting the $2,500.
Now, back in the day, was that $2,500 going to the dealer, or were they sending you a check?
No, it was with a lease. Oh, the $2,500. The $2,500.
That probably went to the person who,
Yes.
the company that leased you the vehicle, right?
No, we actually got that directly.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a good deal.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. And so I mean, and without those credits, I don't think I ever would have gotten into EVs if the $7,500 credit didn't exist.
So it's pure economics.
Yep.
And then but also not just economics on the way in, but also economics in terms of now that we've seen gas prices go up so much.
Yeah.
It's kind of been a double win for you as well, right?
Yeah.
And do you know what the rate is that you pay for electricity at your house?
Yeah, I think it's about 21 cents a kilowatt hour.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. And a lot of people talk about plug-in hybrids, sort of like it's the best of both worlds, but it's the worst of both worlds,
exactly
right?
it.
Because you don't get the. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that and your experience with 66,000 miles.
Yeah. So for me, I for trips, I don't want to be at charging stations. You know what I mean? I don't. It's funny, like I watch some of Kyle's videos sometimes, and he said, next we're going to be at Walmart in Paducah,
right.
And I'm thinking, gosh, when I'm I don't want to be at Walmart, So
I don't think he does either, but we turn it into a game, right?
Listen, we don't need the big SUV. We used to go to Cape Cod every year, and then we kind of that was nice to have for
the CX-9.
Yeah, the CX-9. Yeah, nice and big.
That's a great vehicle, though.
Yeah, it was. But she's like, it's too big. None of us like driving it. Let's get rid of it. And I was thinking, yeah, I know, but and then I gotta get something else, and so I was kind of putting it off. Then that got totaled in an accident.
Oh no!
And so I start looking for cars, and I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking necessarily EVs, because I was thinking, okay, the prices are nuts and all this.
Yeah.
So looking around, and I looking at like 8-year-old cars for 15 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is nuts. And so then my daughter got a job somewhere where she can charge at the job. And so I started thinking, and it was like a 75-mile round trip. So it's pretty significant. And gas prices were getting high. And so I said, well, that could work out really well. And actually, an attraction to the Bolt for me was the battery issue.
Right.
Because GM said, okay, we're going to replace everybody's batteries. And I said, great.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the fire thing. We do park our cars generally outside, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm just generally, it's such a small risk.
Yeah, you saw an opportunity and a problem.
So you got the Ioniq, you got the Clarity, you got the Bolt.
Yeah.
And you got 4 drivers in the house, 3 cars.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to stay with this for a while, or is there something that kind of like catches your eye in the new market?
Well, when I saw the Ioniq 5, I said I love that car. I love the way it looks. I love the fast charging. Everything. I pretty much like everything about that car.
You know, Mark, I want to thank you so much for this time with you. This is an exciting thing that you have. I think you've got it figured out, and I like what you're doing by playing the EV market from an economic standpoint. I think it's a smart way to go about it. You know, it's definitely when people are talking about, oh, I can't afford an EV, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe you can't afford a new EV, but what about buying a used Leaf? Yeah. What about buying a used Bolt?
Right. And actually, with the new tax laws, they're going to have the $4,000 credit for used ones now.
Right.
So that'll help people in that.
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Before we go, I just want to ask your opinion about what are your thoughts about charging infrastructure and how that's keeping up with the sale of cars?
Yeah, it sounds like it's becoming a problem, you know, and already from my perspective, you know, I don't want to spend time at a charging station, and so now, and I think a big part of that problem is all the free charging with cars and people kind of charging at a public station when they don't need to because it's free, right? And they're not going to pay for it at their house and things like that.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's going to be a problem. They've got to keep up with it. I wish I'd understood the economics of that, because again, it seems like, because so much with the chargers is like, okay, why is this out of service? Why is that out of service? And I wish I understood the economics, because in order for the people to keep them in service, somebody's got to be able to make money off of that.
Yeah.
And I know Electrified America was created because of the whole Dieselgate thing.
That's right.
And I know they made them put it in, but what about maintaining them? Like, is there any incentive for them to maintain them?
Well, you think about what they're having to do, and not just them, but EVgo and ChargePoint and some of the others that are out there. You've got to support multiple cars.
Yeah.
You've got different charging rates that cars are going to be asking for power. You've also got different suppliers selling you, as Electrify America, you're buying units from different companies that have different components in them. So when those components break, you know, you don't necessarily have the ability with all this supply chain issues going on to be able to fix the units.
Yeah.
I think that EA can do a better job of being more transparent about the problems that they're having, because I do believe they're trying hard.
Yeah.
But it is right now, it's a bad experience on average for people who are relying on the Electrify America station. And you're 100% right that free charging is creating bad behaviors.
Yeah.
Because people who should be charging at their house, just like you do, are going down the road because, oh, I got 2 years free with my Ioniq 5.
Yeah.
Or with my ID4. Well, listen, Mark, thank you again. I appreciate your time today, and I like the ride of this car. This thing is really quite nice.
Yeah. If you talk to people, no one's ever heard of this car.
Yeah, no,
you know? And I get you with the look of it.
The look, you know, but you know, the good news about the look of this car is that when you're in the car, you can't see the car, right?
Well,
so
for me, like, I like the front and I like the back. You know,
I just don't like the rear
skirt.
the real wheel wells.
Yeah,
that just like.
I wonder how much that really helped, because I would fully admit that.
Yeah, no, of course.
I
mean, you didn't design the car, right? You looked at it from an economic standpoint.
I saw somebody on the internet. They had a gray one, and they actually made vinyl, like a black vinyl, over the thing to make it look like it wasn't there.
Yeah, you know, maybe you put some duct tape on there. It'll be good. But
that's actually one of the reasons why I got black, because I thought it doesn't show up as much.
Right,
you know?
right. That's funny. But well, listen, thanks again, Mark, and everyone for tuning in here and watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day.